Hello, good evening.
Hi, Jean. How do you do?
How are you?
Good, thank you. How's everything with you?
Very good. It's 8 o'clock there, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Now, 8, as they say, English time. We are.
Oh,
Now we could, let me, as they say, we have until now 6 attendees. Let me give you a brief about you, which is just, I know, I'm sure everyone knows you, but just to, as they say, warm up the floor and
okay.
to make everyone yeah, know who are we talking to, what's our objective, what's our subject, what are we gonna tackle today.
Very good.
Okay, so basically, from the customer experience perspective, I know that everyone in the world is fighting against COVID-19 these days, and it's a challenge. And people are coming back to work, and I hope God bless everyone around the world that everything goes okay for the coming 1 year, inshallah, that everything calms down and there's no a second wave or third wave. One of
Yes, that's the biggest fear right now, right?
Yeah, and one of the biggest challenges is that now every organization, if we say government, if we say private, they are saying, okay, how can we manage the customer expectations and be there for them, and with what's happening from an economic perspective, which is cutting budgets, people who are now getting jobless. A lot of companies are bankruptcy filing for Chapter 11. Yani you could see it. You could see it around the world. It's like a flow that I hope this really calms down for the coming few months. Uh, I would like now to introduce exactly who are you. You are basically the co-founder of Customer Bless. You are a speaker, and you are you're a founder. Sorry, not a co-founder. You're the
Yes,
founder.
I'm the founder.
Yeah, the founder and the president. But you're the co-founder and the CXPA, if I'm
Yes,
correct. Yes.
that's very
So
correct. Yeah.
you were one of the leaders who organized and built CXPA internationally in the world. Am I correct? And
Yes, I was one. There were two of us who built it, and I was one of the two. That's right.
that's really a pleasure that we basically for us as a company and as a guy who really has that passion in customer experience, to meet a person in your level and really
Pleasure.
with your expertise in that area. And the beauty of it that you have with this journey of, I think so, 35 years that you have, which you don't look 35 years of experience, you look young.
Ah, well, I'm 61 now, so
Right.
yes.
Knock wood. I'm giving you a hope that all the blessings and all good years are coming. And you have wrote, mashallah, 4 books.
Yes,
One of them is Chief Customer Experience, Customer
yes,
Service. And then you have wrote again chapter 2.0,
that's right.
which we are going to discuss today.
Great.
How are we going to discuss it? We're going to take it from A to Z and talk about the five the competencies that really cover that area. Then we're gonna say how can we benefit of this relationship in the Saudi market? How can we really benefit with having you and really and put a really good perspective in Saudi for a person like you, for all people who are Saudis or non-Saudis, Arab or even foreigners. We're more than happy to support anyone and coaching and supporting in how to take them in that area. From my perspective, I could see that customer experience is the business and the industry of memories. We really work on memories. It's like the people who say it's a hospitality, it's all of that, but it's so tempting that when you say I leave a memory, because you leave a memory is either it's good or bad, and first impression is the lasting impression. Uh,
And if you have a memory in a business to business as well as a business to consumer
Exactly,
business.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And all of that impacts in that this person who took this memory, either he will stay with you, and at the end, you need this person to market something about you, either good or bad.
That's right.
So this
That's
is
right.
all of everyone's investment, either government or private, are trying to invest that everyone are loyal to them. That
Right.
they see that, okay, at the end, I'm loyal to my government, I'm loyal to this company. An example, even the internal employee, which is the employee experience, are so loyal that they will support their company, especially at these days and especially at these times. So I'm going to give you the floor. Please feel free. Let's make it. I'm sure that we could have a very social and good discussion now. The floor is yours. Whatever you see that you feel that we could highlight and stop and discuss more, we have 45 minutes to discuss that. And from there, we'll take questions after that.
Very
Okay?
good. Waleed, it's a pleasure to be with you and to meet everyone virtually.
Thank you.
Mentioned, I have been doing this work for a long time in many industries, and what's a little bit different from me versus others you might talk to or hear about is that I was a practitioner inside of these businesses. I reported to the CEOs in these 5 large corporations, many of which were multinational organizations. And that gives you the tools to recognize that transformation is about the inside of the company as much as it is about the outside of the company.
Exactly.
And as you transform a business, uniting the organization is a critical element. It can't be just about fixing broken things or looking at survey scores, because at the end of the day, the purpose of our work, like you mentioned, is to elevate how you show up in the marketplace. Who are you as people? How do you want to be described? Are you trusted? How do your leaders lead? Are they brave in enabling employees to bring the best version of themselves to work?
If
And
I may,
so,
if I may jump in,
yeah,
just to highlight on what you have said, I could recall that even when an employee gets an opportunity to go to another company, if this company has a very good, or a highly leveled respect in the market from the customers, he or she will be more adjustable, and people will come running after him, her or him, to give him a better opportunity,
yes,
because they know that he was raised
that's right.
in a company that really respects, that
That's
really knows how to treat. I'm sorry.
well,
Yeah.
no, I'm so glad, and please continue to jump in. And that's really, really critical because as people and employees inside of businesses, we want to be a part of organizations that have a higher purpose.
Yeah.
You know, you think about people answering phones. Their job isn't just about answering the phone. It's about rescuing someone or improving their life or calming them down, becoming the hero of their day. As an organization, your purpose needs to be aligned and everyone needs to recognize their role in it. And as we build organizations that honor our employees and give them a place in decision making, they want to stay in those companies. I call this building an organization with congruence of heart and habit.
Mhm.
Heart meaning how we were all raised, right? The values that we have, how the lens we use to make a decision. Are we going to nickel and dime our customer by get more money on our profit sheet, or are we going to earn growth through serving them and supporting their life in such a way that, to your point earlier, they keep coming back to us and they bring more and more people?
Mhm.
And so this is the foundation of what I call these 5 competencies. And it took me a long time to figure out how to even articulate these. As I went through each of these 5 corporate roles over 23 years, and then also coaching a lot of C-suite and organizations through the years, what I recognized is that this can't be about reaction. This survey score comes out and we react. In the best companies that I've been a part of, it's about the ethos or the ecosystem of leaders. So at the end of the day, this is about leadership. It's about embedding behaviors in how you lead and being just as clear about how you will not lead. And that's why when we do this work, we really do need to have the leadership team come together to be a part of building it versus somebody pitching it and doing the work and reporting. What I found,
can I make jump in? Yeah, can I make jump in? Yeah, because you have highlighted a very important point now, that how can an organization speak the same language? Now, one of the biggest challenges to any customer experience partitionist or employee, even if they were on the C-level in the customer experience or not, I'm not saying lower, who are frontliners or on the strategic level, is how to get a buy-in. One of the big challenges, and I know that you have highlighted in the book, that how can we build that and how can we get that buy-in through that, the pillars that you have built in the five competencies. So really, and I can remember it because I have that experience for 22 years in that field. And one of the biggest challenges is until you get a CEO who believes that as they say, the flow of the money, if we're talking about a company which is looking for a profit, is the customer at the end. Because they are the
growing if you didn't have the customer, right?
They're the bread and butter. Without them, we cannot do anything. At the end, we will close. Without somebody to come and really market our product or our service, it will be very simple to say, I'm sorry, but I cannot come to you and buy anything because you're not treating me correctly. I'm sorry, I just jumped in because really...
No, I'm so pleased that you do. And even in government, often they'll say, oh, well, we get to do this work. And I'm like, but you need to connect it back to who you're serving.
Yes.
The constituents of your government are your customer. And then sometimes it gets to your legacy. And how do you want people to think of you? Do you want them to think that they're in a mandated government where they have no choice, or where you're not really caring about their life and you're doing what you want to do from a leadership standpoint? Often it also then is connecting to how people complain or talk about you in the marketplace. So we find some version that really connects to what they consider to be growth, admiration, and legacy, even in that kind of an environment. So shall I continue? Shall I go on with the five competencies?
Please.
Okay. So your point too, which is really critical, is we must unite the C-suite. The first chapter in the Chief Customer Officer 2.0 book is around something that many people don't realize they need to do, which is unite the organization and the C-suite and begin with what I call one version of the truth. Where are we today? Because every leader in the business has boxed themselves into specific actions that they're doing for their silo or their operation, which is terrific. But the customer moves across all of those things. And until we begin this work in earnest, we don't recognize the impact we're giving and causing the customer as they bounce along our work that isn't organized necessarily. And so these five competencies are really the glue that creates a view across the organization and enables you to do storytelling. So much of this work has become about PowerPoints and data and spreadsheets or dashboards, and we lose the human, right? We don't imagine the person in their life going through what we're causing them to go through, or not achieving their goal, or feeling okay but not great about what we've done for them. And so these five competencies create the ability on an ongoing basis to build an engine, if you will, a frame for how you'll constantly understand the life of your customer and be in a very agile way to constantly understand, unite, focus, take action, continue the cycle. Because often, you know this probably, it's very reactive. We sync to the cycle of the survey scores. When those results come out, we react, and say, okay, this is our year's work. Well, our customers don't think about, oh, I'm going to give you input once a year and you're going to work on a few things and then we're done. And so we need to take our work off of what are the top 10 things we're going to work on, check, 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 check. And now we're done with the customer stuff for this year. So the first competency is actually a simplification of and a uniting of the entire organization of success. Because the success of the business must be around, did we bring in and keep more valued customers in this month or quarter or year before annual planning than we lost? So I call this competency one, honoring and managing customers as the asset of your business. And it really begins this conversation that drives the storytelling. As a result of the experience we all delivered, this isn't a sales number. It's important that we move this from sales believing they owned a number. They impacted certainly in terms of the new, but we all impact the lost or the growth based on the experience. The interesting thing about this is that it requires the galvanizing of people to define things in a common way. What is a new customer? What is a lost customer? If you have 5 product categories, you don't want each product area reporting differently to the CEO, because this is where we've inadvertently put our CEOs in a difficult position because we're reporting separately and they're getting a false positive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that really makes sense, because I would like to just link it to a big thing that I saw, and I'm sure you have saw it for the past few experience that you have managed, either from a consultation perspective, a lot of organizations, is that the department of customer experience is reporting to someone not the CEO, which is either they are reporting to, which was the worst is to the operation department, which was I was in a shock truly, and I tried to manage that by really introducing the company to the CEO and saying, it's not that the operation team are bad, but how can you be, and the customer experience department is like an auditing department. They will really show you where is the pain areas for the customer. They are the defenders of the customers. They will be your voice as a company and show you how you can improve. A lot of companies, and this is what exactly what you have highlighted, more than one service and more than one product, and they report in a different line, but there is no true hierarchy over there.
That's right. Well, and what we report back to our CEO and our leadership team are metrics or key performance indicators that are internal to us. Yes. And so this is the first measure. And what's great about customers as assets is you can't cross tab your way out of a bad score on it. You can't refute it. You either kept more customers than you lost or you didn't. And you also have to look at value, because one incoming customer is not equal to a customer you might lose that's a 5-year customer who's very valuable, or a 20-year customer. And so the importance of customers as assets is the simplicity of it.
Yes, exactly.
And that all the leaders can begin their conversations with it. As a result of the experience we delivered, we brought in 3,000 new customers. Here's their potential value. But we lost 3,500. So we're standing in place, or we might even be negative.
Yes.
And often what we're doing is we're putting the sales numbers up the flagpole and considering ourselves successful when we're not doing the math and subtracting the lost customers.
Like you remind me by a saying that we have here in Saudi. It's like you have a bucket, which is really, it has a small nail in it, and it's leaking water. So as much as you fill it, but the important thing that what you have invested in is going out.
That's right.
As much as you're putting water, it's going out.
That's right. And the criticality of this, again, is getting a common definition of new. Every product category defines it the same way. So when we do this, we get the CEO involved, the chief financial officer involved, because they've got to buy into and be a builder of this. The marketing officer, the sales officer, all of the people who in the past might have built their own version, we need to unite it and come together. You may look at a couple other things, such as the movement of our best customers in terms of did they buy more or less, but this should be only 2 or 3 things. It's behavior. It's not the score. It's customers voting with their feet. And what this should do is get us really personally involved in caring about the why. Why did this happen? The other thing that's important about customers as assets is to articulate this in whole numbers, not retention rates. Because if you say your retention rate is at 69%, you're not accounting for the lost. You're giving yourself, again, a false positive.
Yeah, you're right. It's like, you know, you're taking a temperature from a different level, and instead of taking the temperature from the exactly area that you really know where is the pain is. I would like to highlight, because I can see there is a question. I would like to highlight to everyone. Yeah, we will take the questions at the end, if that's okay with you, because I don't want to. If that's okay with you, or you would like to have the question.
Is good for you. Anything, whatever's best for you is fine with me. So.
Yeah. Okay. So there is a question here that somebody is asking, is that how can we define the customer value?
So customer value is, so there's a lot of ways to think about lifetime value. What I suggest is the simplest version you can, that your company all agrees on. Don't make this about analysis paralysis. So a lot, and it's going to depend on your business. Recency, how recent they've purchased from you, and frequency and the amount they've purchased from you. There's lots of calculations out there, but again, the key is to make it simple, which is how much they've bought over time and how long they've been with you. And then, so based on that, you can model your new customers. What do they look to, what do they appear to be from a value standpoint compared to your existing customers? Does that make sense?
Yeah. You mean, yani, just to make it clearer, that because of that, every organization has a different perspective of the customer. An example, from a government to private, an example, the value of the customer has more to, is it satisfaction, or is it retention, or is it more than that?
It's the purchase, it's the goods that they bought from you,
yes,
or
exactly.
the services. So it's got to, value here is not the score they've given you. Value is their behavior. So how much have they bought with you, and how long have they been with you?
Okay.
And how is their value increasing? Because the longer someone's with you, that should have a value.
Exactly.
The more they buy from you, that should have a value. And so it's a simple calculation. And again, sometimes companies want to overcomplicate it, and that's when we get in trouble, because now we spend more time refuting the calculation than pick one, and you'll see the trending. The trending is the most important.
Good.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, clear. So you could continue on the second competency.
Okay. The second competency now gives the organization a one company view for how they then see what's happening in the customer's life. Lots of people call this journey mapping. I've started to talk about it as goal mapping. Because if you think about a journey, your customer doesn't necessarily go through stages with you. They don't do things in a linear order. But you should talk to your customers, and you can't build these goals without talking to your customer. You need to spend time with them and understand, what are you trying to achieve as you're working with us? How can we help you achieve those things? And if you then map the goals, what this does is it gives you now a frame to map the feedback you're getting from your customer. And it also starts driving the operational metrics and things that you should have around the achievement of them.
Mhm.
And the importance of this is agreeing from a one company standpoint. If you're going to do a journey map or a goal map, everyone needs to agree, because now this gives you a talk track.
Mhm.
As a result of the experience we delivered, competency one, did we earn the right to grow? Let's now traverse our customers' goals or stages to understand what impacted their achievement, their buying more, buying less, staying with us, or leaving.
Mhm.
And so that gives us the frame. Now, what happens is you have to spend a lot of time on this uniting of the organization, talking to your customer. And what I would encourage you to do before you start mapping all the thousands of touch points beneath it, just get agreement on the goals
Mhm.
and use that to change your leadership's language. For example, back to when you have your CEO conversation or your monthly meetings, instead of operations, sales, marketing, claims, if you're in insurance, reporting individually, say, how are we achieving this goal? How are we achieving that goal? How are we achieving? So it's about shifting how we drive accountability and how we talk about the business of our business to be outside in, not inside out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. So you, just to make it clearer for me, I think
Sure.
so for everyone, then we could take a question because we have a question here. That when defining a goal on the roadmap, which is that when we, or the journey map basically, that so we link this goal to our first competency. Is that correct? Am I on the same track now with you?
Well, we use the goals to diagnose what happened with the first competency.
Okay.
So
Uh-huh.
let's say we lost 20% of our customers,
Mhm.
or 30% of our customers reduced their engagement with us. We
Uh-huh.
use the goal, the framework of the goal, to create a consistent map that we go back to over and over again to diagnose what happened.
Clear, clear.
We
Yes.
also use these goals to drive innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're really building based on the customer's goal versus what we want to get from the customer. So a lot of times I'll say to companies, do you have a journey map? And they say, oh yeah, we have one. It's lead, prospect, sell, close, resell. I'm like, that's not your customer's journey.
Mm-hmm.
That's your sales pipeline. That
Mm-hmm.
has nothing to do with earning your customers' advocacy, admiration, or growth, because it's not connected to what your customer's trying to achieve. So this building of the goal map or the journey map is a huge culture shift, because it says we forevermore are now going to define our success based on the customers achieving what they need to achieve, not us getting from them the sale. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's very clear. I think so. Before moving to that point, which is designing the goal that we could do on the roadmap, on the journey map. Truly, we need to invest internally to have the buy-in that everyone needs to understand, which is exactly what you have said in the first competency, that everyone, which is departments which are totally very far from each other, need to be close to each other, that they really understand the direction, where are we going. And an example, I have interacted with one company, and the CEO, so he was so I really respect that guy, and until this day, uh, he put that the customer experience department was the department responsible to really move and let every other department come after them. So it's like, like a caterpillar, they come and clean everything. After it's clean, finance come, HR comes, and everything to really build after that. Though the customer experience department was like an organization to see where are the weaknesses from a customer voice, and really build on it and get the other department to support.
Yes, well, and they're the uniters.
Yes.
So let me give you an example of an internal journey stage versus a customer driven.
Yeah.
I was doing some work with Bombardier Aerospace, the
Mhm.
airplane company,
Mhm.
and it was the division of the company that made private planes for high wealth individuals.
Mhm.
And so they said, well, one of the journey stages is the sales and service, or the service and parts experience. I
Mhm.
said, do you think the customer cares about service and parts as an experience? That's because what we tend to do is name the stages by our silo. What they care about is the keep me flying
Yeah,
experience.
exactly.
So if we're measuring keep me flying, we're not measuring how many parts we're selling. Our metrics shift to how many days a customer is not flying because of something we did. Did we not have the right parts? Did we not have the right pilots? Did we not have the parts they needed when they landed? And so it changes the business of the business from our internal metrics and focus to the customer's needs and goals.
Correct, 100% correct. I a lot of people do. Yani, I hope that everyone is really benefiting of what we are saying. And please, I really hope that anybody who has yani, a question that there is something not clear, we are more than happy from both
Absolutely.
sides. Yeah, to support, not just today. Yani, we can do a lot of things in coming. And this is what I'm going to talk about the last 15 minutes, which we are going to say.
Okay. So
If
I need to speed up a little bit.
no, 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 no. It's okay. We are more than happy. It's your call. I just
Okay.
I will take. I have two questions. We have a
Okay.
question here is from
Hold on.
Leila.
Hold on. Wow. My husband is doing the laundry. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. What is the difference
Go
between
ahead. I
yeah,
apologize.
yeah. What is the difference between quality, follow up, and performance department and customer experience department, and how they can work effectively together?
I'm going to read it. Let's see.
Ah, sorry.
What is the difference between quality, follow up, and performance department and customer
Hmm.
experience department? So, what happens, those skills that each of those areas have should should be used, but they should come together so they're not um, using their skills separately.
Hmm.
Quality and the skills of quality, which is process mapping and understanding, it is part of the equation, but the starting point shifts from solving things internally to what we care about to solving for the metrics and the performance the customer cares about. And so we're going to use those skills, but we need to unite them in this framework to be from the customer's point of view, to make that be the starting point. Because it really is the convergence of quality, process, human-centered design. But again, the shift is not from what we care to accomplish, but for the metrics that the customer needs.
Clear. Okay, we have another question here. In the Middle East, especially in Saudi, customer experience solution are not priority. Therefore, how could we impact and enhance CX, customer experience awareness, basically changing mindset from quick win achievements to long-lasting sustainable goals?
So this first competency, honor customers as the asset, is something that we have done as a starting point with many, many organizations and many CEOs, because and involving the CFOs, because as soon as you give them the math, that is, we spent all this money in marketing and advertising and whatever we did, and we brought in new customers, but in the same period, we lost customers, long-term growth, long-term revenue and profitability, and employees along the way. That also cost our money. And we drove our people back into our call centers regularly because we were causing so much pain, which also costs money. As soon as we do that math, CEOs get it. we need to connect this return on investment, which is gaining and growing your customer base, to customer experience.
Exactly.
When customer experience is only about, oh, I care in the bleeding heart department, or whack-a-moling problems away that have one thing here, one thing here, one thing here, that is very reactive, your leadership team and your board is going to say this is a cost.
Yes, exactly.
And that's why we start with customers as an asset. And it really is an attitude shift. This is the asset of our business. But you need to do that math. That math changes everything.
Exactly, because I think so. What you have highlighted at the beginning, that how can we show the value, is that because we need to talk numbers. I think so. For
Yes.
any CEO, at the end, they want to see numbers. CEO will not be, is not ready to see a big chart of the journey and all of that. It's exactly.
No, you have to start with the growth. This is a growth strategy. That's why the CCO 2.0 book says how to build your customer-driven growth engine.
Yes.
It's about growth. It's about earning growth, not getting growth or taking growth. You've got to earn it.
Yes, exactly.
The third competency actually is your customer listening, or your voice of customer. But it's not just surveys. Now, the frame you built in your goals or your journey map actually now becomes the way you report this information. What's different about this is, in the past, what would happen is social media would have information and they'd report it, and people would all scurry off and do their separate work from that. Or the customer contact center would report complaints and people would go off and do things. And again, now we've got 200 separate projects, lots of energy. And this is why this stuff dies, because the CEO goes, look, we're doing 200 things and we still haven't moved the dial. Exactly. We haven't moved the needle, right? Exactly. But that's because we're looking at all this information by silo. We're not aggregating it by goal. And then we're not looking at all of that and saying, okay, the onboarding experience. Here's what happened in social media. Here's what the customer is actually experiencing. Let me show you the 15 things they need to do. Here's the complaints. Here's the verbatims from our survey results. Here's the complexity of what occurs. We also send leaders out to have to do the work themselves, right? There's nothing like experiencing yourself. And then at the end we say, and here's the score we achieved. So what you do is you aggregate it all by the goal of the customer trying to become onboarded to your product, or the customer trying to solve a problem or fix things, whatever your goal is. And what that does is you then can, as an organization, see what the hot spots are on a regular basis and focus on the few things versus every part of the company focusing on what applies to them.
Clear. A very good point that you have highlighted, because of the voice of customer is a very crucial issue here in Saudi. And it's not, as they say, clear, and it's not identified correctly. People, exactly what you have said, you have hit the nail on the head when you have said people take the complaints from the contact center, complaints from Twitter, complaints from frontliners, and say, okay, we need to have exactly what you have said. Because of that, I was smiling.
$1 million on this thing, without any true validation, and off we go, because we're focusing on the customer, but the focus is wrong, and it's not quantifiably validated, and it's one-off actions, because you've got a pot of money and you've got a pot of money, and you want to make sure that your survey score that's focused on your thing gets a rise. But that shouldn't be what we're looking at. If we connect it at the beginning to the growth or loss of the customer base, it kind of forces us to say, okay, what will we do together to earn the growth of that customer?
Exactly. It's like raising a child, I think so. Because it's like raising, it's an investment, because every parent invests in his child, because it's the pure investment that you give it with heart. And no one does that but the mother and the father for any child. So exactly, like when we put the customer in that level, how can I invest and say, okay, 1 minute? Because the most expensive word that you could say to a customer is no, I cannot do that for you. And that, yani, nobody can do that easily until that you have that relationship.
Well, and again, that all goes back to, are you really locked in on what goals your customer is having in their life? You know, in a world of COVID, for example, I'm encouraging my clients to go back and listen again, because people's goals are, I need to stay in business. I can't lose the top 20% of my customers. I need to take care of the safety of my employees. That's very different from, let's put on the greatest race on the planet and get a lot of social media, which might have been what their goals were, you know, 3 months ago. And so we need to be agile in the way that we listen. And listening, this is important. Listening needs to be not just about surveys. There's 3 ways you can listen to your customers. 2 of them don't cost you any money. The first one is based on the volunteer feedback your customer gets you. When they call into your call center or give you information on social media, they're giving you the gift of feedback. The silos make it difficult to aggregate that because every social media probably has a different categorization of how they define issues than your call center, than your marketing department. So we need to agree on the categorization. So much of this is about uniting and agreeing so we can optimize. And once we unite and agree, we do 2 things that our leaders need us to do to take this seriously. We have the connection of common frame, and then we have tonnage, enough volume that they'll take it seriously. So you've got convergence, because you can get convergence because enough different areas are pointing to the same thing, right? Your social is pointing to the same thing. Your contact center is pointing to the same thing. Your Salesforce data is pointing to the same thing. Your customers who are talking to you are pointing to the same thing. And you have enough volume because you're collecting it in multiple places. And that volume lets you look at real trends.
Exactly.
And those real trends let you focus and pinpoint on the most important things versus being reactive.
Great. What I'm hearing is like, you know, it's like a music to my ears. And I hope everyone is benefiting of that. And the good thing is that we're recording this so everyone can hear it and listen and take it for free. And this is really a mine of gold that we are hearing. Really, I feel that all of what you're saying is some things that everyone knows, but it's very hard for anyone to not to understand. Everyone knows how to do it, but how can they really tackle it correctly? Because I think so. What the fear is in any customer experience position is that, okay, if I go this direction, because he needs to get an approval, am I doing it right or not? This is the most fear. It's like, you know, you're going to buy something or you're going to do something. Or investing in something? Do I put it in this investment and is it the time or not? When the ROI of it. So everyone is thinking about it in that area. So let us take, I think so now we are on the 4th competency.
The 4th competency is, think about this as your revenue erosion early warning system. All this means is operational listening. Are you measuring the right things? Because often our key performance indicators that we present to our CEO are internally driven. Remember when airplanes would pull away from the gate and you'd sit on the plane for an hour or 2? That's because the metric was on-time departure. We're measuring things that we care about. For example, we're measuring in healthcare the amount of time that you're sitting in the waiting room, which may or may not be what we care about. Compare that to a spine clinic in Seattle, Washington, where I live. And what they measure is what customers care about, which is number of days I have to miss from work to see all the doctors you force me to see independently because you haven't connected yourselves. And the reduction in MRIs that I don't have to have anymore because my treatment is holistic versus you're just each one of you sending me to an MRI.
Yeah.
And so what this is it connects. Competency 1. As a result of the experience we delivered, did we earn the right to grow? Competency 2. Let's now traverse our customers' goals or journey and understand how we're performing. Competency 3. In each stage, what is our listening telling us about what we're doing right or wrong? Where are they converging so we know the hot spots? Competency 4, in each of our goals, is what we're measuring, indicating why we're either achieving the customer's goal or not. So for example, in the 4th competency, when we get to it and it's still in the same goal of the onboarding, well, no wonder we got so many complaints. We're supposed to complete onboarding in 10 days and our average rate of completion has been 41. So if we're measuring the right things, it tells you before the complaints come in when you're off the rails, when you're going to start creating mad customers.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Very clear, because I'm sure the
where those process people come into play and
yes,
quality.
Exactly. When we go back to Layla's question, is that once you said, where is the quality and the process people? Here, when the customer experience leads, all of these other silos departments come and join together and help and support. The most important thing.
Where that skill comes to measure the right thing.
Exactly.
And measure what the customer cares about. Customer doesn't care as much about sitting in the waiting room as they do once you've got me there, that you bring me in once versus 5 times.
Exactly, 100%. It's very, very important that I think so for everyone, to really to understand and to measure it from a customer perspective.
That's right. I'm going to give you a link also for everyone where these 5 competencies, I have a whole page on these 5 competencies on my website, and there's actually an audit as well. And so at the end of this, that's why I was looking separately. So I'll give you that page as well, so you can share that with everyone. But the 5th competency is what I call the prove it to me competency. And that is, are you proving to your employees that this is truly how you're leading? You know, we've seen a lot of different, this is the year of the customer or whatever, but this is across those journey stages or those goals. Are you enabling your employees to deliver value? How are you getting in their way? Are you honoring your employees? One of the things that we've done is called kill a silly rule. Are we created so many rules that our employees have to follow that our customers are like, you don't even have any power to help me? Are we building something like a customer room where on a regular basis, we actually traverse the journey stages or the goal stages. We unite our C-suite. So it's a monthly cadence. We come together monthly and we understand the life. We evaluate the life together. We create small groups that are agile, that focus on things. And we use that room to also constantly create the engine of people working on different things versus, the survey score came out. Here are the 10 things. So this customer room creates that engine. It creates the DNA of your business to make it be what you always care about, what you always talk about.
Clear. Yeah, I really appreciate that, the 5 points, because I could feel that when you see it from competency 1 until you reach to competency 5, it's very clear that it's like a journey that you're moving until you to the end one. There is one more fifth. I have a question here, just if I could. The last.
Sure. And I'm putting the page in here so everybody can have it.
Yeah, the question is from Muhammad. How important the loyalty program for the organization?
How important is the loyalty? Well, I would like to think about it not as a program,
Yeah.
but rather an approach to leadership.
Mm,
And what we're seeing is when companies are really doing this in this manner, it changes the company. It elevates them. It creates an ongoing path to growth. And but it takes work. You know, it takes work to change and embed these competencies. And that's why people go after instead solving broken things. I call it the whack-a-mole work instead of this foundational work that has to happen. If you don't do the foundation, you're constantly going to be reactive and playing whack-a-mole.
great.
It's back to parenting,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, exactly. I usually when I say it to my partners and in my and people who are really we are very close to, and I say that all of this investment is that you did this investment in your company as an owner or a CEO in this company. At the end, you're raising your child. The child is يعني, yeah, the child is either the employee, which is the heart of the company, because at the end the employee is the heart of your company here. They are the voice of the internally that you need to put them together, and the others who are really your clients and customers. I think so. Now we have completed the 5 competencies. I,
Yeah.
yeah, I
And I just sent the link of where it is on my website as well. There's a video for each of these 5, as well as an audit at the bottom to audit where you are on the 5 competencies. So
yeah, this is okay. Then okay, I will take okay. We can take any questions now. We have 8 minutes before we complete. I would like to highlight for everyone the good news that Gina has يعني with her يعني support that we could we work with here in Saudi through coaching on the 5 competencies. We are more than happy to anybody who could contact us directly, and we will link with Gina and work with anybody who would like to work with us on the 5 competencies and improve and support them to reach to their goals, that every customer goal that we would like to reach. This is something I think so. And I hope that everyone could benefit of because it's really a big opportunity now for everyone, and it's the time that really the impact of what's happening in the market really needs people to differentiate themselves and organizations to differentiate themselves. Working on cutting budget is not the solution. Working on working on saying let's do something. Let's do the let's say the technology transformation is not the solution. The solution is to understand your customer first. Then you could truly know where are you investing. It could be that you're investing, let's say 1 million, 2 million riyals here and something, and at the end, the customer is not really taking that value of what you're doing because you didn't do the right work and the hard work. Gina, I really appreciate your time. I hope that we could really, the pleasure is from my side, honestly, me personally, that I have met you. I'm hoping that soon we could meet face to face and everything that what's happening around the world with COVID-19 that really goes away and everyone is in a good health and safe, and all of our brothers and sisters around the world are really in a better situation. Thank God that now much better life is coming back to everything around the world. Yes, and I have one of my really as they say, friends, and she's a good friend of mine. From yesterday, she told me, "Could you ask Gina one question? Is the
Oh,
customer, yeah, is the customer experience in you yani working on the customer experience when you work on the B2C, is it the same as B2B?" From my perspective, I told her, look, as they say, your B2C is totally different than B2B. But from a customer experience perspective, it needs a different strategy. So if you'd like to highlight anything on that.
there's human beings in both B2B and B2C.
Yeah,
These
exactly.
5 competencies and how you lead apply to both. And
Exactly.
we've used this successfully. The key to each is understanding your customer and their goals and honoring your employees. And so what's interesting is for a long time people thought, oh, in B2B we don't have memories, we don't have emotion. We have every kind of emotion. We have fear, worry, concern, elation, every kind of emotion. We have every kind of memory. Did you help me prepare for the presentation to my CEO? Did you keep your promises? Did you help me achieve my goals? So all of these things are applicable, and especially in this world we're living in, people are going to remember, did you step up? What kind of humans were you? Did you lead with your values? And what we're seeing is the companies that are going to recover the quickest, just like, in the United States, after we've had financial issues and, all kinds of disasters in our world, the companies that came back, and I'm sure you've seen that in your world as well, right? The companies that come back the quickest are those that took care of their employees and their customers, led with their values, were willing to shift away from policy to congruence of leadership. Are you leading with your values and really improving lives? And for that sake, that's why I'm really proud of these 5 competencies, because it gives you the ability to really focus based on your business model.
Great. Thank you very much, Gina. If you have anything you would like to highlight from your side before we close the webinar.
Well, I think if you go to the beginning, the homepage of the site, you'll see this whole work around leadership, bravery, and memory, which is really important. And then there's a story about my dad there, which is kind of great. And then if you go to the 5 competency page, that will be helpful. The other thing you might consider doing is using the quiz. The quiz at the very top of the page is around 4 categories of leadership behavior, and see where you are today, because those 4 categories are what separates a great company and a beloved company from an everyday company that's acting like everybody else.
Sure. From our side, for everyone who have registered and who have attended, we're going to share the link of your website, the link that you have sent me, and even we're going to share the connections that to contact them personally if they need any support. And either than that, we are more than happy. And I hope that that we could have another chance to meet you again, to see how we could learn from you and get more, as they say, insight. And we could make it shorter. Instead of 1 hour, we could take, let's say, 20 minutes and tackle a subject and see what people would like to hear here. We could, we are planning to do a survey and send it to everyone and see if they would like to. An example, we'll take the 5 competencies and we're going to do a survey on it, and we'll see if each one of them who would like, what they would like to take more as an understanding. And that will be, that will be something we could do together.
Okay.
I'm speechless, honestly, and very, very excited and honored to meet you, and wish you all the best, and hope that everything and good, and we hope to hear a lot of good news about you all the time. And please, I'm sure that everyone who attended feels that they are for your service. You have friends in Saudi as usual. around the world. Everyone who attended, I'm sure, will be more than happy to support you in that area. And I, I think so. There is one question. Just
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. We have one question here, Gina. From your experience, what is the most important thing to avoid in any relationship? And from I think so from customer experience perspective.
You know, it, we need to build trust.
Mm,
Every relationship that a customer has with a company began because they trusted that company. You know, think about our life. We trust banks to take care of our money. We trust realtors to help us find a home. We trust our doctors.
mm,
But often in our relationships with customers, it doesn't feel all the time that we trust them.
correct.
So read your fine print,
Mm,
look at the conditions of doing business, and do a trust audit.
sure,
And do the same thing with your employees,
sure.
because trust and transparency is the foundation of a relationship.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do you have time? Because there is another question. I don't want to.
Okay, sure.
Sure. Thank you. Uh,
I have another call right now, so I can do one more question.
okay,
Sure.
this is the last one. And no, he's Muhammad Al-Zain is thanking. Many thanks for the
Oh,
wishing
Mohammed,
you all the best. People,
wishing you all the best.
I told you, you will make a difference here. I told you that on the phone. Thank you again. Hope I will keep in touch, and please,
Great.
as I told you, feel free to keep in touch with me for
Okay.
anything. We have now, as I said, friends in Saudi. We are more than
Lovely.
happy to help
We have
you.
a friend in Seattle.
Thank you very much. Take care, Gina, and
You too.
thank you for everyone. شكرا جزيلا للجميع. شرفتونا واتمنى انه تكون I'm sorry I have to I'm just saying goodbye
Oh,
now.
I love hearing everybody's names.
I will share everything with you. No worries. I will give
Very
you
good.
all
It's so
everything.
nice to spend this time with everyone. Please take care, and I look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. See you. يلا السلام
Bye
عليكم. Bye.
bye.